Hello friends and welcome to bispsolutions.com. My name is Amit and today I am going to show you how to use import script and FDMEE data loading. We would be using Python in order to write import script. This is my first session of import script. Therefore, I have taken a simple example. If you are new to FDMEE, please watch my FDMEE introduction and basic data load options. In today's example, I'm going to use Space as my data source. Because it's a hands-on session, I'm going to show you everything live. For concepts and basic fundamental, please do refer my previous videos. So I'll take you directly to my virtual machine and show you what exactly we'd like to achieve today. Today I'm going to load data into sample basic cube. I've selected this database and application because it's easily available and you can redo the same example what I show you in today's class. This is my sample basic cube and I have got 5 dimension in it. The data I'm going to load in this example is this is the data. For the sake of simplicity, I keep only 3 records. So and I also put the data method in the same order as appears in my outline. So I got January data which is coming from image time dimension. Then I have got measures which is sales. Now if you pay attention to this carefully, the name of my dimension member is sales over here, but here is sales hyphen 001. The 001 is basically a source ID. So many of time when you pull data from source system, you have a source ID also appended. And I'm going to use a string function today to demonstrate you how to eliminate or remove this last 4 character from your sales. So when I perform mapping, I would eliminate the last 4 character and sales will map to sales. And then you have a products 110, New York, and scenario actual. And this is your data. For the sake of simplicity, I keep only few records. So now you know what is your space outline, your target is your space cube, and source your file system. Let's get started and load this. I'll be using a import script, very basic import script, and I'll convert this entire string into an array and keep only first 5 characters. I can take the entire record or individual field. Okay. So let's get started. First you log into your workspace and open your FDMEE that comes under data management. Go to the setup tab and please do refer my previous video about how to set up FDMEE in session 1. So I'll get started with registering my source system. So my source is file system. Click on add. It's fairly simple GUI based. So my source is file system. I would name this as space flat file load, flat file as space load, and my ODI context is global. Global is the default. For more description about global context and ODI, how ODI used in FDME as a backend engine, please do refer my previous video. Right now I'm going to map it straightforward. So source system setting is done. Go to target application. In target application, your target is as space cube. So from the given target application list, I'm going to select as space. It takes some time to populate all the application database. This is my target application, sample basic, sample name of application and basic database. The moment you retrieve it, this is the beauty of EPA, your FDME. It can read all the dimension and their data type. In my case, scenario, market, and product are generic dimension. So you see scenario, market, and product, they are generic type. Whereas major is an account type. You can right click or go to properties I look at the dimension property, dimension type. Major is dimension type account, whereas year is dimension type time, and product is generic, which is none. Market is also generic. Scenario is also generic, and rest of the dimensions attribute, so they are not to be considered. You ignore them. So mapping is given over here. You need not do anything big in this simple example. That's it, and click on save. So your source and target information has been specified. The next step, I would define import format, and this is the place I'm going to define a scripting. As the name indicate, import format to define mapping of source to target. So your source type is ERP, and I select flat file over here. My flat file is a delimiter, and as you see, the delimiter is a comma, right? It's a text file, flat file delimiter comma, and you can name it. I would name it as flat file as space flat file as a data source, and target is my EPM application, which is my sample basic cube, and delimiter is a comma, right? So you save this information. I look at this error message. Once it is done, the third panel, you see the mapping information. If you see this is not visible, sometime we have bug, you can toggle between the screens and you find it gets visible. So this is the place where I'm going to define the mapping, what is what. So first column is amount, and the position of amount column is 1 2 3 4 5 6 is column number 6. Amount is column number 6. Second is your market, 1 2 3 4. Market is column number 4, 1 2 3 4. Third one is measures, which is column number 2, and fourth one is product, which is column number 1 2 3, and so on. You continue to map all the dimension member. Last one is your scenario, which is your 1 2 3 4 2 3 4 5. So you got second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth, right? Had it been simple straightforward mapping, I wouldn't need anything else, but in this example we need import script. And in my sales, which is my dimension member, has appended a source ID which is 001. I like to eliminate this. Okay. So I've written a very basic script over here. Under script editor, you go to import script, and when you click on new, you need to define the script name. Make sure the script name and the definition of function should be exactly same. What does that mean? If you look at this function, which is fairly simple, I put a notepad so that we can interpret it well. Look at the name of function and name of a script should be absolutely identical, isn't it? It takes two arguments, field name and the complete record name. So what I'm trying to do over here, from the entire record, right, I'm trying to retrieve only this information. What does system do? Your FDMEE consider entire record as a series of character or string of character. Okay, I assume it's an array. So we would like to start our data read from this point to this point. An array start from 0. So it would be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I like to read the number of character from 5 to next 5 character, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 5 to 10, these character I like to read from my system. In other words, I'm going to read these members. Prime colon is represent your range operator to 10. So when I invoke this script, what it does, it will take sales 001 as an input and passes sales, right? This is a basic script I put over here. Once the script is done, the reference of the script is required to be defined in import script in import format. The script which I have written, it is applicable to measures. So you see there's a pan symbol under edit expression. From edit expression, there are three options: fill, L, and script. Select script and define name of the script. You see the extension py, the Python script. The FDM also enables you to use VB script as well. So you see we have a mapping of all column, including measures, where mapping is based on the script. There is no straightforward mapping. Once this is done, you can move on and define location. Click on add and define location. So define location name as space data load, import format, the one which we just now created, and other parameters are optional. So right now I give only name and import format, and then I click on save, define the name, right? My location gets created. Next to this, I'm going to create period. Well, so in my case, the period is already set. You can see my previous video where I demonstrate you how to set the period. It's a fairly straightforward. Period key, which is your MMDDYY, and prior period key, and your period month, target period month, target year, target quarter. If you look at the structure of our Essbase queue, we don't have years. We in fact have months. So it may be assumed you're loading data for current year only. We don't have a separate dimension for year. So therefore my target quarter and target day is set to empty. We have only month. So it's like we are loading data for monthly. You are done. You can click on save and proceed. Define categories mapping, which is your scenario. I already created a data is to be loaded for actual. So define scenarios actual, and it assume data is coming from your source system on monthly basis. It could have come on quarterly as well. In this example, we assume it is coming as monthly. Define and save it. So this mapping is done. Next step, you can go to workflow and define data load mapping and data load rule. Data load mapping is going to be very straightforward. As we discussed in the previous session, data loads to your intermediate staging table between source to target. Yeah. So what all we did, we define intermediate staging. Now we define a target, how you're going to load it. So I can use a live script, and this is a straightforward one-to-one load, table-to-table load, or point-to-point load. Star means all source goes to all source correspondingly, and define the name and save it. Continue to do the same with all members. Measures, define source name, target name. We want one-to-one mapping, no complex transformation, at least as this example. All measures. Continue to do the same thing with product. Map it, source and target. All source map to all target, and name it all products. Continue to save it, and finally your scenario. So source is going to be actual, or you can define the star and star. Source and target one-to-one mapping, and define rule name all scenario. So my mapping is straightforward, there is no complexity involved in it. Then I define data load rule. Select your point of view, click on add, select your name as space, flat file load, define your category. Right now we have only one category actual. You could have select multiple category from the list, from one category from these multiple members. What is start? This is mandatory. Rest all of it you can leave it blank now. Source, which file you want to load it, and you click on browse. Basically this information you get. These are files are available for data load. You can add more files as if you need them. Click on upload, point to the data file, and you can upload it. This is a data file I'm going to use for my data load. I upload this and then I define data file name, and you can define other parameters. What are mandatories? Click on save. This is done. So before I load data, let me show you uh, the smart view data for this. We are going to load data for this intersection. For January, for sales, for product, this alias name, this is real name. Cola, Diet Cola, caffeinated, these are alias name. For market New York, scenario actual. This is my data. Right now data load is not done, therefore it is empty. Once I initiate data load, you can see the data over here. So you can click on this and click on execute data load. I'm going to load data from source to intermediate table, staging table, and then intermediate staging table to target. And this example, I'm going to load data for 1 month only. Maybe in second example, I show you how to load data for multiple period. And rest keep all the option default for now. Click on run. Everything submit a job, the process I244. What are the underlying log file, temporary files, staging files are being used? I'll talk about them in greater detail in my subsequent videos. We'll talk about how to debug FDMEE load, which is some of the common issue. I continue to refresh, you see green color, which demonstrate data load is done successfully. You can quickly go into a smart view and refresh, and this here is your data, right? So this is basic data load option, and if you look at carefully, data goes to my sales, which is my target, but in my source system is a sales -001. You can further go to log file and workbench. Log file, the workbench is empty, and you look at this, and the log file give you all information about data load details. So in subsequent session, I'm going to teach you how to debug this. Right now you can open it and just browse through for the sake of your learning, and you can pick up some common keywords like data loading keywords and so on. So this is a basic example of using import script, how import script is created, how it is associated with the import script function, how to execute them, and finally how to test data and ensure data which you requested, same data you received it. And behind all this activity system, the beauty of FDME, it render very detailed log file and audit trail, and this is what you do not require. Had I used a space load rule in contrast to FDME, it turns out very difficult for me to debug the members. But FDME is your task for debugging and dealing with data inconsistency. This simple example, I'm going to stop over here, and your queries are welcome. In my next couple of videos, I'm going to talk about more advanced example of writing complex script function. So thanks for joining today. Should you have any question for BISP, please feel free. This is our site bispsolutions.com. You can write to me as well. My name is amit.sharma. My email ID is amit.sharma@bispsolutions.com. Thank you and have a great day.